Check. We're good. Awesome. Hello, and welcome to another episode of CyBytes. For those listening, yes, I have upgraded my microphone and installed a pop filter. So no more annoying mouth noises. It's been fun recording this. I'm enjoying the whole process of transcribing, recording, and syncopating everything. It's pretty good. Today is an exciting episode because I've had the privilege to interview Anya Shpilman, the founder of Cyberfused, a recruitment agency based out of Middle East and a partner for W Digital, a global MSSP. She's also a recruitment powerhouse with a vast level of experience and insights in this UAE market. She has quite the no-nonsense approach, and it's always a really fun chat. In this episode, she shares some real advice for us introverted types and the power of one-on-one coffees and shishas, and why knowing the right people still matters. We also deep dive into why the cyber market here in UAE is tougher than ever, and what exactly you need to do to show the people you're the right person for the job. Enjoy. Okay, just give me a quick. 2, 1. Boom. Anya, welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
Hi, what a surprise.
It's the first time we've ever met. Cool. Yeah, so as I mentioned previously, this podcast is really aimed towards those who don't know much about this market, new starters, new grads. And I'm super excited to have you on because you're someone who does have that level of experience. You have that insight. You know a lot about a lot of people because you meet a lot of people. You yourself are a recruiter, but you're also a lot more than that, right? So let me just hand you the torch, introduce yourself.
Sure. So I'll just, I won't start with my date of birth or anything, but I'll jump into the Middle East bit. So I moved to Dubai nearly 10 years ago now. And I was one of the first cybersecurity recruiters in the Middle East. So just like any other recruiter, I fell into it. It wasn't a dream job of mine when I was 5 years old, but it's something that happened. And at the time, I had this fantastic manager called John. And we just basically went around the C-level people around Dubai and Abu Dhabi and just see what's necessary at the time, right? So at the time, it was 3 main areas that people struggled to recruit in. It was data, it was UX, UI, and it was cybersecurity. And so after those 3, cybersecurity is what caught my attention. So then I did a course on Coursera just to understand very basic stuff of how it works. And then I got really, really lucky because very early on, I was introduced to Rami and I got involved in 971sec. And it's a fantastic community that's really, really supportive. And this is one thing that I really, really love about cybersecurity recruitment is because the community, everyone is so helpful. Everyone is so lovely. Everyone's trying to help each other. It's really, really nice.
Like you said earlier, at the start, you said you kind of just fell into it, right? Mm-hmm. What about recruitment kept you going?
It's the people. I mean, I'm going to be this really, really cliche person, but it's extremely rewarding to put someone good in a good position, right? Because again, sorry for sounding so cliche, but you're changing people's lives. You know what I mean? Like I brought so many people over from other countries and moved people to better positions. And, since I've been here, I had like guys that had families and we got into this whole, family packages when it was still around. And, all these things, it's very, very nice. I think, to be honest, so the candidates is what's the best about this job, and the companies and HR, it's the worst bits about this job. So
yeah.
But it's just the reality of it. Yes.
Yeah.
The companies, I find the recruitment process in the Middle East, all of Middle East, is very broken. Obviously, I'm based in Dubai, so UAE it's gone so crazy in the last 10 years. So it's gone from where it's really slow, nobody's making decision, to now 15 different stages, videos, psychometric tests. It's insane. It's like, it's just crazy. It's like, why are you having so much red tape? Just, it shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah. No, honestly, that's my experience as well, because for a long time, UAE was, it always has been this tax-free zone of, it's attractive to a lot of people because of the sans the tax and, it's good salaries and whatnot. And it still has persisted. But back then, you mentioned the family packages, the benefits were really, that was the thing that was attracting, not just the lack of tax. And
that's right.
Just on the process point of view as well, even for myself, when I first moved here, it was a wasta thing, but still, I remember applying when I was still in my like placement year, late university era. You know, I wanted to move out here to Dubai. My family is here. I've got friends here. I thought, let me get involved on this train, and in doing so, you made a good point because that's something I saw as well. That there wasn't really a heavy process. There wasn't any, you know, go through this form, go through that form, and you're done. You know, it was a very basic process, but unfortunately, it was still broken at the time,
It was still
right?
broken for sure. It was very basic. It was, as you said, who you know, absolutely. I mean, honestly, to be honest, it's still like this, I think. But it's in any
Yeah,
country, by the way. You know, it's connections are connection. This is why networking is so important. Um, Plug in 971 sec just again. But yeah, no, it was broken at the time. But I mean, look, I think there is a point of HR to make the processes good, and I think there is a reason behind the madness of psychometric tests. I don't see it personally. For me, it's just too much red tape, and it's just I like personally, I would not sit through something, and I mean, I know we're on video right now, but I wouldn't sit and make a video of myself talking about my experience. I've already sent you my CV. I've already put everything in your ATS. Like, oh my God, read.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
So, I
stop it. Who has
mean,
time?
why would companies do that in that case? Because I agree with you. Like these you put it in, you give it a good analogy. It's a lot of red tape. It's a lot of barriers for a lot of. I mean, there are a lot of companies here that add extra barriers and some sprinkles, and it's completely unnecessary.
That's right.
And I just never felt. I like I said, I echo the same feeling. So with that in mind, like, what would you expect a good company or a good organization to do when it comes to recruitment? Like, what would that process look like?
Yeah, it'll be so easy. Well, I guess, look, it depends on seniority, of course, but it will, for me, right? Okay, it'll be three stages. First of all, will be with the hiring manager. Then it will be with HR and team members, or it will depend, but no more than three. The person have to meet more than three people, you can do a panel interview. And panel, I've actually sat in quite a few panel interviews, and they always felt quite aggressive. Like I know it's an interview, but I think everyone needs to calm down a little bit with this panel interviews. But yeah, so basically three stages. Um, that's it. No psychometric test. I mean, look, if it's tech things, maybe a tech test of some sort, but that's it. I mean, as I said, the amount of stuff companies is asking for now is insane. Like business plans and, 3 days of work, and you do it for free, right? Like all these tests, it takes time. Do you know what I mean? And then another thing is, right? Now, obviously, AI is in the picture. So for me, I find it quite funny, right? Because the job descriptions are written by AI, ChatGPT, I'm just going to say, right? So ChatGPT, and then the CVs are written by ChatGPT. So it's
It's
like,
just AI versus
yeah,
AI.
exactly. So really, I know I'm going to sound a bit old school, but the whole thing, why I like recruitment is because I meet all the candidates. Well, the
Yeah,
ones that I can, I meet all of them, right? And in the end of the day, you want to hire someone that you like, right?
yeah.
Because you want to work with them. And if somebody is really technically gifted or really, really good, and he's still not, I'm not going to swear on this podcast, but he's not fun to work
You're
with, or
good.
he's not a
You're
good
good to swear. Don't
person.
worry. I can censor
He's-
it.
if he's not a good person to work with, you don't want to hire this person, right? So I guess this is the thing in AI. Like, I mean, it's fantastic as it is now. It's not there to determine those bits. And I think this is why you have to have those interviews, you have to have these calls, and you have to, unless, this is why we can't just hire just looking by on CV, right?
Of
Because,
course. Is this back on? Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
okay,
Sorry about that.
nice.
Yeah, I was saying AI was a good point actually.
All right. Go ahead.
Uh, that's again, and this is why I wanted to have you on, right?
Hmm.
Because um, recruitment tends to get a bad rap, right?
Hmm.
Certainly from me, and I'm sure there are
Somebody
others
laugh.
who I'm sure there are others who echo that feeling as well. But I've had bad recruiters I've worked with, and I've had really good recruiters I've worked with, right? And the ones I felt that stand out the most is the ones that you said, the ones who focus on the people, right? They're the ones who tend to really push them best selves forward. And it doesn't mean best selves doesn't have to look like, oh, I've got all the certs, I've got all of this. It's more like this is who I am, right? If you can kind of sell or pitch yourself to that recruiter, they can vouch for you. Am I
Right.
correct in that kind of, is that the process that you would expect to see?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, look, I know recruiters get a bad rep, but the thing is, you have to understand the amount of people that get in touch on a daily basis is insane, right? So you cannot be good to everyone. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that would say Anya is a rubbish recruiter. Like she does not get, but because for me, look, this is how I see it. And this is going to sound really selfish, but for me, I can only help people that I can help, right? And so when I see a candidate and I think, you know what, I think I can either place him right now or I can place him in the future for sure. If it's someone that I'm like, there's a really tiny chance I can ever do it because, this this industry in this region, they really like certain things, right? So, for example, when you hire for a bank, they want someone with a bank experience. When you hire for oil
Yeah,
and gas, they want someone with the oil. And, whether skills are transferable or not, of course, but here in this region, we like very industry focused people. So, when I have someone who is a jack of all trades, but not from consultancy background, but he was sort of here and there, I know that for me, it'll be really difficult to place him because the competition is insane. You know what I mean? That we don't lack talent in this region and people are still coming. So for me, with this person, I will ignore him, unfortunately. Or I'll say, I don't have anything and that is it because I know I don't want to waste my time not doing it, but I'd rather spend my time helping people that I think I actually can, if that makes sense. So, mm. But also you have to remember that recruiters are working with different companies as well, right? So I will not have certain clients and other recruiters will, and they will have different sort of candidates on their list or whatever, or on their, I don't know how to say, on their short list of people that they'd want to talk to. You know what I mean?
for sure. Like that's that's a really good point because recruiters do see a lot of people. They
Mm.
have, I think, especially when those who are starting out early, if it is someone from like an IT engineer position trying to move into a different role or something, or someone who doesn't have that much experience in climbing the corporate ladder or understanding the network or how to network, they would typically see the recruiter as a kind of the gateway into that industry, right? And because there's a lot of interest in this field, the recruiters tend to get bombarded with a lot. And I think it's important to remember that they're, like you said, it's important to remember that you're getting a lot of profiles, a lot of people
That's
coming
right.
through.
That's
Your
right.
job isn't just to go through that, but to talk to
Mm.
these people. And it's tiring,
Right.
right?
That it is overwhelming sometimes. But you know what advice I would give someone that is starting out? The thing is, right, I'll just tell you how I see it, right? So for recruiters, we hardly ever get paid for a junior position, right? So most of our positions will be mid to senior because recruitment costs money, right? So the company would not want to pay us to hire a graduate. Do you know what I mean? So if you're starting out, if you're trying to move, your best way to do it is to go internally and go through your manager and see if you can sort of, well, if you're already in the company, to see if you can do something cybersecurity related, take courses, whatnot. If you're a fresher, again, your way would probably not be through recruitment agency, but maybe, trying to get experience. I mean, if you go back to doing courses and certs are fantastic, but again, certs cost money, right? So
Yeah.
this is all great, but what anyone would look for is whether you can do the job or not, right? And for you to be able to do the job, you need to go and do it and to get a hands-on experience. And this is the only thing you can do. And if you're in university, if you really started out, trying to get internships, trying to use all the masters that you have and get get that experience because this will
Yeah.
get you your jobs. Recruiters, no, they just don't have those positions.
It's, I was going to say, you mentioned something interesting there, actually. I wanted to pick up on, but I forgot what it was.
Not that
It
interesting.
was, no, not at all. You have a lot of insight. That's why you're on here. No, it's to do with I guess the perspective of someone who's quite young, right? Someone who's like a new grad or someone who wants to learn about this industry.
Hmm.
Someone who doesn't have the opportunity to go through a recruitment agency and find that job that they want, that graduate job. You know, there's a lot of things that they can do. Like you said yourself, you did a course on Coursera just to
Mm.
understand the network, but you were still in a very particular position at the time, right?
Hmm.
I want to pick your brain a little bit about branding,
Okay.
especially with younger guys or younger you guys or girls in this
Hmm.
space. this kind of this is to do more with like branding and networking and the importance of
Mm-hmm.
it, because you mentioned it
Mm-hmm.
earlier.
Mm-hmm.
How can someone improve that skill set? Because it doesn't have to be just cyber related, but like
Yeah.
especially now in 2025 here in UAE, like what are some
I
of the things that you do?
I think that would be really difficult now because everyone's doing the same. If you go on LinkedIn, you just see all the ChatGPT generated posts nonstop, right? So it's not really, I mean, look, personal branding is important. I think if it comes naturally, but I guess talk about things that interest you. That'd be quite cool about certain things you find out. Like, you know what I find really cool? Like sometimes I'll get CVs, especially from like, I don't know, pen testers or something, and they'll always mention like a cool thing that they've done. And it's always interesting, right? Because it's like, oh wow, okay. And you can always, by the way, in any interview, the first thing you notice is how passionate the person is about what they do, right? And you can tell because they get excited about things. And you go, cybersecurity is not always that sexy, but you can see when someone is like super, super pumped, right? So if you're gonna go the branding route, yeah, for sure, post about things you're interested in, even if it's sort of like about the news and stuff, but like what's your opinion about it? Get your authentic self. It's a
Yeah,
big buzzword, right, these
yeah,
days. But yeah,
of
be
course. Yeah,
authentically you, and that's great. But with the region, and this is, by the way, KSA, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, everywhere, networking is extremely important. And I know there are introverted people that don't like socializing, but if you want to get far anywhere, whatever position in cybersecurity you have, by the way, being good with people is always going to be a plus, right?
yeah.
And socializing but by going to all these events and meeting people, you find out what's happening in the industry. It's not just jobs, like even if you don't get a job from someone you've met, they might tell you, someone might have something, or they'll tell you the state of the market. You're really struggling with this microphone
I need
today,
an arm.
aren't
I swear. No, this thing is bouncing on a tissue box.
you? Nice. Professional setup.
Sorry.
Love it. It's okay. um, yeah. So anyway, yeah, back to the point. Yeah, networking is important. Everyone should network. I think especially after COVID, people do not like meeting. People don't like coffees anymore, not like they used to 10 years ago. I used to have like 20 coffees a day back in the day. Now everyone's like, oh, come on Zoom or whatever it is. If you're young, go out and meet people. Get off your phone. I'm going to sound like such an old
Yeah.
lady now, but get
No,
off your
no,
phone and
honestly,
go
yeah,
meet
yeah.
people.
This is something I say as well. Like predominantly in this space, it's we're stuck behind the screen. It's inevitable. Even before COVID, like you're either coding away, doing something, or writing policies, or sitting at your desk, not talking to people. And that's the nature of our work. You can't really avoid it. But this is something I really echo as well, because through that you will discover new things. That's how I
Mm,
first met you guys. That's how I met you,
that's
how I
right.
met Rami,
Mm.
how I got involved with 971 sec. Like I felt that there wasn't a strong community for me here, because I came here not knowing anyone. I was about to quit and
Mm.
leave this country. and
Look at you
and
now.
through that, yeah, look
Yeah.
at me now. I've got this crappy little boom mic. And so that's it's a tough thing to do, and especially for introverts, it's really, really difficult. And I felt like I was also that person.
Mm.
I never had that drive to go out and network, and I was so nervous. And I man, I'll be honest. The first time I went to that 971 sec meetup, and I had the craziest panic attack. It was
Oh
horrible.
no. Oh
Yeah, yeah, and
no.
it not with anything. Something. It was just a lot of stuff to deal with,
Yeah.
but through that, I did learn a lot more. I got to speak to a few people. I got a couple numbers. It doesn't matter. I never got a job out of it. That
Yeah.
wasn't the intention, but the fact that I knew that these people existed is what was exciting.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, look, and the more you go, the easier it becomes, right? And then you just basically meeting up with friends, right? So the thing is with 971 Sec especially, because now it's a big event, right? It's a sponsored event. Now so back in the day when it started, it was very, very community oriented, right? So we used to have coffees and it was, I don't know, five, six of us, right? On Thursdays in the morning. So I think if you're struggling with the big groups, I mean, this is not an issue, right? So you can do a breakaway groups and just say like, as I said, it's just, even if it's, you want to meet one person, go on LinkedIn, find someone that you find, I don't know, exciting or someone cool or whatever, or he works or she works for the company that you want to work for, and do invite them for a coffee. As I said, it depends on your personality, I suppose, and what you want to achieve, but it doesn't have to be this massive events, right? It doesn't have to be J6 and
Yeah,
J6 of this world, or even
100%.
971 Sex. It could literally just be coffees and shishas and
That's how I met Rami as well, actually. He
hey, there
got
you
me
go.
into 971 because I pitched to him on LinkedIn. I'm like, hey, do you have any spaces on your team? He's like, no,
Uh,
sorry, but join my group. I'm like,
but there
okay.
you go.
Yeah.
But look, you can attest to this because it's a great
Yeah.
community. It's
Exactly.
fantastic.
It's
It's
fantastic.
fantastic.
I've always tell people about it. I've seen how it's helped me and I really wanted to help others. You
Yeah,
know, all my friends are in that group now, people who never even knew this existed. So I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
happy that this community is growing because there is a lack of it in this
Hmm.
industry here, especially in UAE.
For sure. No, it's a fantastic thing. People should do it more. And yes, there's a one sec is very important, but if you are a fresh graduate, get your university involved, get your course people involved, get your groups, do things together, share the knowledge. Sharing information is one of the most important things in cybersecurity, I think. So start early. Start
Exactly.
sharing
Yeah,
confidentially. But
exactly.
share the info.
So I want to
Hmm.
take a little step back, actually,
Go on.
more about yourself as a person, right? Um, you are a recruiter. You talk to a lot of people. You're very sociable. At any point, because you work in this industry, have you ever felt a little bit of imposter syndrome when it comes to the technical stuff?
No.
Right? Were you ever a techie nerd? Were you ever a techie
No.
hacker person?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But the reason why I wanted to be in the tech recruitment is because before I came, I was doing tech sales. So I was always in that sort of space, but never a techie person. No, not really. Not a nerd. But I do, you don't have to be super techie to be in this space. I mean, it's important, right? But obviously for recruitment, you definitely don't. But also, like, there's so many different areas that you can get involved in, right? There's data protections, GRCs, and your marketing, your cybersecurity awareness things. You don't really need no. I mean, to be honest, the only times I felt a bit out of water is when one of these events sometimes they get really really techy, but most of the
Of
time I
course.
can follow. And as I said, because I enjoy it, I do read a lot of stuff on cyber and I listen to podcasts and all that stuff. So yeah, you can get
Nice.
by, I
Oh, very nice.
suppose.
Would you ever consider doing a certification? New ones are coming out.
I do have
You
certifications
do?
actually.
Hell
Yes,
yeah. Which ones?
from ISC2. It's actually on building cybersecurity teams. So that
Makes sense. Makes sense.
no, I did.
Yeah.
I think at some point I don't know how much I will need it. Again, like I can get by, like I get the basics, but I don't think in what I do I kind of need it.
Yeah.
And also, obviously, I haven't mentioned I am a partner of another company, and we also have MSSP and pen testers and data protection and all this, guys. So I think I have a lot on my hands at the moment. Starting
Exactly.
search.
This is a good segue into this actually, because I want to
There you
talk
go.
to you about this.
Hmm.
Because you've been a recruiter for a long time.
Right.
This is
Yes,
you. People know Anya as the recruiter, but you're more than
that's right.
just that, right? You
That's
do
right.
have this partnership with MSSP, and
Yes.
I guess tell us more about that.
Yes.
What's that
So
all about?
basically what happened. So right when I came and when I was starting recruitment, I was recruiting internally mostly. So basically, as we mentioned, oil and gas, insurance, banks, all internal stuff. And then when COVID happened, all the recruitment internally stopped. Obviously, cyber attacks did not. So companies would spend more on vendors and consultancies. So these guys have become my clients. And what I've noticed, I'm not sure if I should talk about this really. But anyway, what I've noticed is that they will go to companies and they will sell their name, like let's say Nick's Consultancy, and you go in and you'll say, I'm Nick's Consultancy and this is the services, blah, blah, blah. And then these are the people that will, that will be doing it. And when they win the contract, they will come to me and I will be hiring those people, right? So I'm like, okay, so really, they're just random people. They're just
Yeah.
going under the Nick's Consultancy, but they're getting
Mm-mm.
paid they're getting paid X, but Nick's consultancy is getting paid a lot more just because of the name, if that makes sense. So then I was like, well, if we're doing this anyway, why don't we have our own SOC, right? So, because also at the time, I have placed a lot of C-level guys. So, CISOs around the region. And then at some point they will come to me as well and they say, who do you recommend? And then at some point I'm like, well, myself. I should recommend myself. So there you go. So this is how it started. So we do have a SOC. It's based in the UK though. We have 26 people there, and then we have 5 people
Wow.
in the Middle East. Yes, yes. It's very good. It's 24/7. Obviously, I'm biased. They're great.
Of course. I mean, this is the opportunity to plug it, right?
There you go. There you go. Tam, tam, tam.
Yeah.
Call me.
Nice.
No, it's really good. It's really good. I mean, look, services I do enjoy, but they're not as rewarding as recruitment. I can tell you this. Nobody calls you and tell you thank you for charging us for the sock. You know what I mean? Nobody tells you thank you for preventing anything, right? They're
Nah.
just
They just
nah.
said, okay, here's an email, done.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Like
Yeah.
when I play someone, people like will bring me bottles of wine, and chocolates, and all this
Wow.
stuff.
Nice.
I know. With
Man.
services, you get nada.
Man, I don't get
Just
any of
nada.
that. I just get told off.
There you go. So you get into recruitment, huh? Oh no, so the thing is, I don't know if the amount of recruiters I've seen now, especially in Dubai, is like insane. It's crazy. Like when we started, it was just me and Barry, really. Barry, I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys know
Barry
who
Barry
Barry is,
Martin.
but
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah,
an,
yeah. It
he's a
was just me
G.
and Barry,
He's a
that's it.
G.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we were literally like, we had the same sort of contacts and it's cool. And now there's like 100. When I was looking, like, I think after COVID, there were like 14 cybersecurity recruiters. And I know for a fact there's not enough jobs for 14 cybersecurity recruiters. But yeah, I mean, look, job market is insane at the moment.
Where do you think it's going now? Because I have friends struggling to move from their current positions, and these guys they're absolute like monsters at what they do. I'm not just biased. I'm objectively saying this. Like, not just their CV. I've seen what they do outside of work. I know they have the capabilities to join the best of the best over here, yet they're just not getting anything. They're not even in any interviews. So, I mean, what's your prediction with the UAE market, just from what you're seeing,
I am very doom and gloom at the moment about UAE market, to be honest. I don't think people would like to hear this, but anyway, it is very, very, very tough. The one advice I would give to your friend and everyone's that doing it is just do not take things personally, because the competition is just insane. It's insane. The salaries are low. The benefits practically non-existent. There's just not enough jobs for amount of people that are trying to move here, because of course everyone that's already here, that's one group, right? And then we have the whole Europe is coming, right? Eastern Europe is here. All the sides that the world is such a mess, and we're in such a lovely little bubble of our
Mm.
little Middle East. We're just
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
just living
It's
our
gonna
lives.
pop eventually, huh?
Well, but this is it. But it's this rent is sky high. The cost of living is insane now, and so everyone is fighting for the job. So I see like fantastic people that can't move, as you said, or can't get a job. And the only thing I can say is just do not take it personally. It's just because the reason, the difference between you and someone else can be so small. Like a bank that this person worked in, right? So, but like something about the experience were a little bit more relevant to the job, and that's it. And as I said, there's just not that many jobs. Like there's just not many,
Yeah.
because you have all this gazillion. If you take just UAE, there are gazillion vendors. Um, all the companies have filled up, nobody really wants to build their own stuff anymore. Like, because I feel like we're just, you know, the maturity level has matured. So, everyone's kind of settled down, because now people are like, oh, Saudi market, this is where it's at. Yes, but Saudi market is particular as well, because sometimes I'll speak to a candidate, I'm like, oh, I understand UAE is just not that many jobs or whatever. I will consider Saudi. And I'm like, that's great that you consider it, but Saudi would not consider you, because Saudi has a lot of interest now as well. So it's
Yeah.
not like,
Yeah.
you don't need to attract talent that much to Saudi anymore. They're kind of going.
Yeah. No,
So
for
it's
sure.
not,
Like
yeah.
that, I like that point you bring up, actually, is the maturity of these teams. And I think as someone who's a job hunter or someone who is trying to move into this space tends to forget about that. And not even tend to forget, it's just it's a very unique perspective to think about, because
Mm.
you, as the one person looking for a job, I want to, you're tunnel visioned. You're going to
Yeah.
do everything that you know, which
Mm.
is networking, LinkedIn, job applications, recruitment. But it's, especially when it's a tough market like this, it's tough to think about why this is happening, right? And it tends to be very much, and that's why you bring up the point. Don't feel like it's a personal attack on yourself, or don't feel like it's you're taking it to heart, because there's a lot of things that are changing. Which one of them is the maturity levels, right? SOCs are now starting to establish that level of, okay, we're at a fully operational level. Where can we go next? What's the next best thing for us to do? And it's most of the time it's not hiring more people; it's improving the internal talent, right?
Right, right.
Training the
That's
internal
right.
members and what. So, and that's a good thing as well, right? Because it's both good and bad for depending on the person you are. The
Yeah.
SOC themselves are finally developing. The UAE's cyber strategy is in full force. A lot of people are
Right.
focusing on training the internal teams, but job hunters and people looking to move to UAE for this are going to struggle, because that bubble is now about to pop. It's finally becoming to the stage where UAE is becoming more of a complex city. It's no longer a, hey, just get here, a quick job and move out of here.
Eh,
It's becoming way
Yeah,
harder to
yeah.
live in now. So
Oh, for sure. It's hard to live in and it's hard to move as well because also, as I said, because there's so many people, when I used to speak to companies, I was like, all right, okay, let's get someone from wherever it is. Now people are like, okay, I want someone with experience in the Middle East. And because, we are a particular market and you will know, like, we're not like the rest of the world, right? You kind of need to be able to work in this region. And, you know,
yeah,
we have our way, we
yeah.
have our inshallah.
That's the currency, not the tax.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Oh man.
No, but again, it's a particular thing, and I've seen people. I have a really good example of well, a friend of mine now, but I was placing him in the UAE, and I remember he was like, "Oh yeah, but I'm used to it because I used to work with international teams." I'm like, "No, no, no, different," because he was
Yeah,
in Europe, and I was like, we're different." Yeah, well,
yeah.
we do it differently here. We do.
Do you think it's going to change ever? Because I've had conversations with people, SOC managers and team managers who are coming from Europe, right? And they have their experience of Europe and European teams is that, it's done properly. This is the process. It's very process driven, and this is good. And I agree with that, because in UAE I don't tend to see a lot of that. Is that something that you kind of you agree with, you disagree with?
For sure. Do you know, I think, yeah, I think so. I think so. I think well, yeah. I mean, it has already changed, right? Like, even if I look at how things, as we talked about earlier, right? Even if I look at things how they were done 10 years ago to how they are now, already there are more processes and things are done properly and stuff. It definitely changed a lot. Definitely. But I don't know where it's gonna go. Like, it's really hard to predict. I mean, look, so from 2020, it's all been a massive show. Do you know what I mean? So you don't know what's gonna happen in the rest of the world. Every year, it's like, oh my God, like what's happening now?
Yeah,
So who
yeah.
knows? Who knows?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I want to take a step back away from cyber a little bit. Again,
Okay.
back into more about you, right? One of the things I've learned in my time in this industry is you kind of have to be a passionate person about cyber. You get told to learn the most thing. You have to learn the most. You have to go home and do hack the
Hmm.
box or do these things and kind of make cyber your life.
Yeah.
That's the message I got,
Hmm.
and this is what I tend to see
Hmm.
a lot of. But as the industry changes and grows, I meet a lot of people such as yourself who aren't completely technical people. I mean, I don't know how confident you are with pen testing and whatnot, but it's
Hmm.
and whether or not that's your interest, right? So, what is it that kind
Hmm.
of takes you outside of cyber? Like when sometimes cybersecurity can be really intense.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not a technical person, but I'm very passionate about cybersecurity. So cybersecurity takes a lot of my time. As I said, I will listen to cybersecurity podcasts while I walk the dog, and then I will read the news and blah, 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 blah. So it's not, I am very passionate about that space. Not just people, but, with everything that's going on. I think it's cool. Um, so outside of cyber, I can't say how that. And this makes me sound really sad, but I don't have any interest outside of cyber, I don't think. I
Really?
go fishing and I go golf. There you go.
That's good
That's as
because
far
I don't
as it
even know how
goes,
to
really.
fish.
Oh, fishing. There you go. And that's even fine,
Yeah.
cyber enough.
This is where the fish comes out of the water and starts talking to you about TI reports.
There you go. Something like that.
Nice, nice.
Um,
That's a cool point actually, because I recently had a conversation with someone about why they joined cyber. Right, you joined cyber
right.
because it was exciting and whatnot, but the premise of it was that it was cool. Right, it's a cool industry to feel like you're in it. Whether you're a threat hunter or incident response, right? It sounds cool. The role sounds cool, and I think that's kind of what drives a lot of people. That also drives me too. When I first started, I wanted to be I wanted to be a threat hunter simply because of the
Right,
name.
right.
Like that sounds
Because
so
the cool
awesome to
sounds
me.
cool.
And that
Pentester,
was it.
wasn't it? Do
I
you remember
wasn't.
I told you about my my old boss? Anytime I mention penetration testing, he still laughs. So
That's why I don't want to do it. But I don't want to be testing. No, I don't want to be testing no
I know.
pens. Oh man,
God, that's
fair
bad.
enough.
No, no, no. Yes, it is. It is. I don't know. I found it cool back then. I find it cool still.
Nice, hell yeah, nice. So before I wrap things up, I want to ask you one last question. What's next? What's next for Anya? What's coming next?
So for me, what I'd want to do is I'd want to expand our MSSP and the rest of our cybersecurity services into Saudi. I will still be doing recruitment. I think what I'd want to do is concentrate on exec recruitment, just because I've done a lot of it. And to be honest, most of the guys that I've placed 10 years ago are now at C level anyway. So it's sort of might as well keep it sort of going. But yeah, I think definitely concentrate on Saudi. I don't know if I told you this, but I came back from Riyadh couple of weeks ago, and that how it's changed, it's absolutely insane. The last time I was there about 4 years ago for the first black hat, and the difference between then and now is amazing. And I can see they're literally like building it. I don't want to compare it. I know nobody likes the comparison, but it is sort of like seeing Dubai growing back in the day.
Really?
So it's really cool.
Wow.
I mean, they have their financial center, the metro line is fantastic. As I said, they're moving really fast. So I'm looking forward to see where that region is going to go. And I guess regionally, I will never move away from the Middle East. The Middle East is my background and my playground. This is where my business is, and I love it. So yeah, definitely staying. But I think expanding on the services and expanding on the offerings, that will be it. That'd be me.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you so
so
much, Anya, for joining.
no worries.
You've been an awesome guest.
No
And
problem.
if anyone wants to reach out to you, how can they get in touch?
LinkedIn is fine. My email is there. You can share my email address.
Sure.
Another thing is, guys, by the way, I will send the links to you. I did do a YouTube channel about 4 years ago. It's just about tips on writing CVs and where to find jobs. I know it was 4 years ago, but the advice still stands. Feel free to use it.
I
And just
remember
add
watching that
ChatGPT
video
in there
actually.
somewhere. There you go.
I'll
Feel
put them
free.
all in the
It's
links. I'll
fantastic.
put them all on the show notes below. Thank you again, Anya, for joining.
Thank you. Thank you,
Appreciate
Nick.
it.
Thanks. I appreciate it. All right. Cheers.
See you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye. Cheers. Bye. Bye.
So there you have it, folks. Hope you enjoyed the episode. As always, if you enjoyed the podcast or enjoyed the episode, please do rate it on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to it. And if you wanted to get in touch with myself or Anya, you can find our contact details in the show notes. And please do hit us up on LinkedIn if you have any thoughts or queries about anything. If you want to contest some of the points, we'll be more than happy to chat to you about it. Till next time, bye.